everyone. First of all, as being a Ukrainian national, there is like a lot of representatives of different countries. So I wanted to thank you for all the help that you provide to Ukraine. We really appreciate it as like civilians and military as well. Thank you very much. So today we'll talk a little bit about the new face of the OSINT in the wake of the Russia-Ukraine war and how it changed. So I did not know that there would be my face. So there is my face again. You could see I'm not an imposter. I'm a real person. It's kind of coincides, so that's fine. But without further ado, so let's talk a little bit about the traditional OSINT. What I mean by traditional one, it's geolocation, image verification, etc. So, and we will start from the thing that data collection transformed into target collection. So for Ukrainians, going through the open sources is just that you need to collect targets for certain unknown drones to hit something somewhere, right? So here is a publication from June 2nd on TASS. It's Russian state-owned media claiming that Ministry of Defense telling that there is a huge, wonderful arsenal of missiles being built near Tver. And if we take a look at this, it's indeed like June 2nd. I just highlighted it. In the city of Toropets. So if you read news recently, you probably know where I'm actually referring to. But let's take a look a bit further. So here is Russian MOD representatives opening it up, like cutting the ribbon. And if you do not want your world-class arsenal right there being blown up, you do not need to advertise it and cut the ribbon publicly, right? So it was in 2018, and here is how it looks now. So at night of October 6th or 5th, there is RT in Russian claiming that there is small fire started near Toropets, nothing to be worried about. Well, that's how Toropets looked like in a few minutes after that. It's the small fire by Russians. So what OSINTers also need to do is to confirm whether it's like small fire or, I don't know, the clap, or it's the real explosion, right? Because Russian media has a history of undervaluing what's actually happening on the ground. So another thing is that to confirm whether it's like the target was actually hit or not. So here's the Maxar imagery at the CNN article right there. So you see how the Toropets look like before, and then after, well, something happened, right? There's a huge bunch of smoke, but nothing is seen. Maybe something happened there. And then in a while, you could use the same Maxar images. So this is how the Toropets military depot looked like before, right? And this is how it looked after. Something changed there, right? I'll just do it again. This and this. Well, something happened. So that's what OSINT is being used. Target collection and checking whether you hit the target or not. I mean, pretty basic thing. Another thing is just to track the military cargo. So here is a Telegram channel called Monitor. What you actually can do as a Ukrainian civilian or military person, you could go to Telegram and near live fashion to check whether a missile is flying your way or not, or the Shahed drone is flying your city or not. So this is, they also track Iranian and Russian flights. So here they've been tracking the aircraft that brought some military cargo from Iran. And I guess on October 5th, so I guess in a few days, or already some of these drones are already flying over Ukraine, or will be flying in the next few days. So that's extremely important thing as well. Another thing, as I said, there's a tracking of how the missiles are flying. So the same channels are tracking the trajectory. So here is the actually the map of the September 4th and different types of munition being used and what is their trajectory across the Ukrainian map. So you could take a look and see a lot of stuff hit Lviv that day. Some stuff hit Boryspil, Poltava. There is also like 2 ballistic missiles hitting Kryvyi Rih right there on the bottom from Crimea. So different missiles. And by like learning this past and like what Russians like tactics are using, so the newest tactic is that some drones are being lost in Belarus. Yeah. And tracking war crimes perpetrators. So here's a Reuters material of trying to track Russian soldiers who committed war crimes in Bucha. You probably have seen a lot of the materials about this, but it's using some real evidence, people testimonials, but also like some visual clarification and confirmation to find those people. Or this is a material of Ukrainian journalists who found some Russian commanders that tortured Ukrainians for, in this case, binoculars, surprisingly, but again, there are a lot of stuff that happened, and the journalists and civil society organizations are constantly working like with different OSINT techniques to trying to find those people and brought them to justice, or even I don't know, in absentia, put them into trial. Another thing is that tracking enemy soldiers' correspondence. So here is a Ukrainian media material based on the leaked messaging of Russian general. So they, not they, but they received an access to his to this general's messaging through the Telegram, and they found that he had correspondence with wife, mistresses, different FSB agents, and famous military bloggers. So like complaining that he did not get a star in time to his shoulder or something like this. So here I put the moment that like people are the weakest link still. So, but not people necessarily, but actually this thing. It could be hacked, intercepted, like somebody could get an access, and then if there is some sensitive data, well, something like that might appear. And that's what people are working about, going through all of the correspondence of this guy and publishing and making funny video out of it. But then there is an amalgamation of disinformation and the real world. So like we talked today about the hybrid war. So what's happening when disinfo actually influences the real world? And also today there were a few words about like Russian nuclear cyber rattling. So here is a publication of Voenkoor Marat Khairulin. You probably haven't heard about him because he is quite small. But he published that there is breaking news. Ukraine brought nuclear warheads to the Zhovty Vody. It's a Ukrainian city down to the south. And they are about to attack some nuclear power plant based on some no-name like sources whatsoever. Then the next step, there is like so-called internal affairs administration in Kharkiv region. So basically Russians occupy like really minuscule part of the Kharkiv region, claim that, yeah, there's like some secret sources telling them that Ukraine is about to attack Kursk NPP and Zaporizhia NPP. So if we take a look at the map, here is where Zhovty Vody is. So it's in the middle right here. And they are saying that they would be attacking the Kursk NPP. So here's the Kursk NPP. Ukrainians does not have like rockets that would actually hit this distance. It's like 400 kilometers directly. So it's like kind of really implausible. Zaporizhia is closer, of course, but not, I mean, the whole claim is built almost on nothing. But then the next day, Russian security agencies picked up the message and claimed that this is true. There is attack is about to happen. The next thing, they even found out that, you know what? There are even some drones in the area. So probably Ukrainians tried to hit it. But what drones were those? And is not it like a false flag operation? That's what the centers need to work on and actually debunk and verify. And also finally, recently, like a few days ago on October 3rd, there was like a message there were like some missiles in the vicinity. So again, whose missiles was it? And all of the stuff should be verified. And also it seems like really elaborate strategy to show that Ukraine is kind of escalating nuclearly, so that like to punish Ukraine and prevent allies to help Ukraine. So today there was like words of the Clausewitz saying that kill the alliances. So this is one of the tactics to kill the alliances, right? To present Ukraine as a terrorist country. And then we're going to the modern information war, right? So since 2022, it had to change because of the blocking of conventional media like RT and Sputnik in Europe and the United States, but also in Ukraine, several channels. So they switched to new tactics. What are those tactics? It's social media. So they are using griefers, people who just want to earn money, bloggers, and ex-RT employees who pretend to be journalists out there to spread really crazy conspiracies or any other implausible information just to discredit Ukraine. They use fringe websites and personas, publishing some really crazy content on the sidelines of the web, but then constantly, step-by-step, laundering, creating it, and trying to reach the mainstream. And when they reach the mainstream, well, millions of people seen it, and they start doubting something. And that's the main goal, right? So like to put the seed of doubt that everything is like, there is a wonderful book by Peter Pomerantsev, Nothing is True. So that's basically what Russians are trying to achieve. They undermine trust towards the institutions, alliances, and Ukraine as well. And real-life campaigns like the active measures. You probably heard about Stars of David in Paris or like coffins in front of the French government. Well, that's kind of what they are doing. They are paying for this stuff. Like they are hiring people through the Telegram or even TikTok to make these things in Europe. So here is a screenshot of ex-Russian journal ex-RT journalist publishing a crazy conspiracy theory that Zelensky is filming these videos from the green screen. So-called green screen theory, when it's being filmed in Hollywood or whatever. This is the thing about the Eiffel Tower coffin mystery. So there is no mystery. There were like people who were hired to do this kind of like real life action. And this is from Doppelganger campaign. You probably heard about it. Department of Justice recently, United States made an action against it. So it's basically a campaign using ads on Meta, so like Facebook and Instagram, mostly Facebook, promoting ads that lead to the copies of real websites. So like Fox News, Washington Post, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, Le Parisien, and many, many others. So what's their tactics in Ukraine been so far? So like OSINT has been used to uncover tactics in Ukraine, and most Russian tactics in Ukraine been, as always, wonderfully described in this fantastic report called Fire Hose of Falsehoods, written by Rand like in 2017, I think. So like throw as much as you can and something will stick, and that's what they're trying to do. What are the main narratives that they're amplifying that people in Ukraine need to debunk constantly? So internal issues, clashes, and grievances. So they're destroying alliances even within the countries, not only like outside of the country, right? So they're trying to undermine social cohesion. They're amplifying differences between people who are on the front line and in the rear, people who left the country, who stayed in the country, and many, many others. So they're searching for those weak points and amplify them. Create clashes between leadership. They're trying to promote certain people as being like in political competition during the war. Undermine trust in institutions, including military. We identified the largest influence campaign on TikTok that were actually targeting Ukrainian Minister of Defense, among others, trying to claim that his daughter bought a villa for 7 million euros. Spoiler, everybody could buy it still, but still, few million people seen it. They spread demoralizing, dividing content. They are trying to divide society, as I said, and exhausting information space at that matter as well, so that people do not know what to trust. Platforms, as I said, Facebook ads, like doppelganger, some negative content, Telegram influence operations, and forgeries. I've seen so many forged documents that I cannot even comprehend. As I said about this TikTok large-scale campaign and negative content on Twitter as well, and using troll accounts. So this is a TikTok video that received 2 million views. So this is ex-Ukrainian Minister of Defense Reznikov's daughter. The next few images will show that he supposedly bought like the villa for her. This is an example that General Zaluzhny was being supposedly promoted as an like opponent for Zelensky in the upcoming elections. Spoiler, never happened. And this is the report that me and colleague co-wrote about different Russian tactics in Ukraine, but also within Russia and other countries, like in Europe and in Africa as well, I think, and Latin America. So what are the tactics in the West that actually us interests need to debunk right now? So the first one, like main narrative, is that focus on whatever issue you have and do not help Ukraine because you have an internal problem X. Ukraine is unreliable or corrupt or bad or whatever, any other reason, and Ukraine wants to drag you into the war. So main 3 lines and main 3 points that's being used for multiple countries at the same like multiple times. So they're using ads and different other things to do to promote those points. And another thing is that you cannot survive without Russian gas, oil, whatever. So this like another type of message they're trying to promote. Approaches. So as I said, information laundering. Place something really onto the fringe so that people will not, I don't know what this source is, but then slowly, step by step, amplify it through different sources, bloggers, etc., and try to reach either mainstream or really popular bloggers right there. Real life operations, right? So the coffins and Stars of David, as I said, and prompt indecisive behavior so that people will not be willing to do something right there. Platforms are somewhat the same. Facebook ads, using the cameos of famous people trying to persuade Zelensky to stop using drugs. You probably heard the stories as well. So they used the Orlando Bloom and somebody else as well for these things. And Twitter, they're using blue tick accounts, like in this case, supposedly claiming that Ukraine did not send this drone, but it was sent from the NATO actually territory, and it's like World War III already started or something like that. And yeah, that's again the translation of the Ukrainian Minister of Defense story, but just went on Twitter and received 2 million more. And a few more tactics. So this is a blog that compiled really unnecessary, like unproven allegations against Ukraine that Ukraine sold French-donated howitzers, never happened. Or that Ukraine sold weapons to the Mexican cartel, never happened. Or that supposedly Bellingcat and BBC reported that Ukraine provided weapons to Hamas, again, never happened. So the OSINT nowadays is like debunking all of this stuff because there are people in the world that still believe in this, sharing it, and it's actually influential. On that, thank you very much. I was almost in time, but I would be happy if there is questions, but if there is no time, okay, all good then. Thank you.